Hey guys, welcome back to another amazing day of Art Club. Excited to do another fun activity with you guys. So today we're going to be using that other half of our black sheet of paper, and we're going to be putting our bleeding tissue on there instead of white paper like we've been using so far, to see how that looks, that difference, that how much it pops in comparison to with the white paper. And one of the cool things I love about putting the bleeding tissue onto the black paper is you'll notice that as it's wet, it's going to almost disappear into the background, but as it starts to dry, so this is starting to dry now, it starts to pop back out. So although I know they always say like, oh, you don't need to watch paint dry, that's boring, right? This is actually pretty cool to watch this dry because it does end up popping. So similar to like we have been doing, what I'm going to do is put down a bit of glue in a spot. Now whether you're using liquid glue or the glue stick, either way is going to work perfectly fine. But I'm going to just spread that out, make sure it's about the size of my tissue. And I'm going to put my tissue down, and now watch this. It kind of like almost disappears into the background when we get it wet and put that glue over the top. Like, look at that, it's almost gone. Hold up nice and close. You can see it's still there, but it's like disappearing into the background, right? Now this one I did a few minutes ago, so this one's starting to dry already, and you can see how much more it pops once it's starting to dry, and once it's completely dry it'll pop even more yet, which is really fun to see, I think. So I'm going to do that in all over the background of my black piece of paper. I'm going to cover it with as many spots as I want. Notice that mine aren't really overlapping for this one, like we had been doing for the other projects. You can have them overlap, but for this one I'm choosing to not have them overlap. So kind of up to you how you want it to look. But I would just completely fill this in as much as I like until I think, yep, that looks good. Alright, and I'm not going to do the whole thing for the demo because that would take too long, but you get the idea. We'll fill in that piece of paper with our bleeding tissue until it looks good to you. Then we're going to set that aside to dry as we work on the other portion of our project. So in your kits, you should have also gotten these hummingbirds, right? So with the hummingbird, what we're going to do is we are going to take our Sharpie marker. Oh, where did my Sharpie marker go? Mine got hidden, you guys. I don't know where it went off to. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to take my Sharpie marker and I'm going to make a different pattern in every single one of these sections. Okay, so looking at the slides, you can see, over there we go. You can see an example of what it could look like when it's done. So feel free to get inspired by the different patterns and shapes you see on that hummingbird. But otherwise, another thing that I like to do is just kind of like look around my room or look at a book or just look at different things and get inspired by what I see around me. So I am noticing on one of my pillows, there's kind of like a checkered design. So I'm going to put a checkered design on this wing here. So kind of is going to go this way and then that way. And then with the checkered design, it's like every other one is colored in. So I'm going to do that on this wing and color it in so it's got that checked design. And I'm going to show you guys my other hummingbird that I've got a little further along here. So let me I'll finish this. So that's one section, and I would do a different design. Maybe I do a little bit more over here. A different design in each of those sections. So once again, to save some time, I already have an example ready to go. So here's what my hummingbird is looking like. I would still probably do a little bit more design in different sections. But this, I actually was inspired by a bunch of my students. When I was looking on one student's shirt, I saw there's a big round circle on the shirt, and so I put circles in this one. Another student had a tree in the background out of the window, so that's the tree from there. Another student had a thermostat in the background. So those are actually thermostats there. Another student had an oar on their shirt. So this, if you look both ways, it's an oar facing either direction. And then I had some other students where their names had a V in them and an H. So you can see the V's here, and then these are H's. So those are all inspired by my students and what I saw on their cameras and their names and all kinds of stuff. So get inspired by the things around you to come up with fun and unique patterns for your hummingbird. Once you've got the entire thing filled in, your next step is going to be to cut your hummingbird out. And there are lots of very detailed and ornate shapes going on, especially like down by the tail and over by the wings. So definitely take your time with cutting it and just being really careful, especially by this beak. We want to make sure we're not, it's got this nice beautiful long beak, right? Because it's a hummingbird, so we want to be careful not to cut the beak off short or anything like that. So once this is done, we're going to go ahead and take that glue stick, put it all along the back side, and we would then glue it down however we think looks beautiful onto our black background with those beautiful bleeding tissue, bright lights showing behind it. So that is our project for today. I hope yours turns out absolutely beautifully, and don't forget, if you want to, you can always take pictures of your projects and email them to me. I always love to see the beautiful artwork you guys create. Thanks for hanging out.